What's up, everybody? Going down this weekend, we got UFC Fight Night Shanghai, Umar Nurmagomedov versus Song Yadong, and this is going to be my full card breakdown and predictions. Now, on paper, I do think that this card is a little bit underwhelming, right? But I think from an entertainment standpoint, there's a lot of fun fights on here. There's a lot of fun matchups, and it starts with the main event. This is a good main event between Umar and Song, right? Song coming off of a big win over Davison Figueiredo to where he was able to submit him. And now, in China, once again, Song with an opportunity to go out here and spoil the party against one of the best guys in this weight class in Umar Nurmagomedov, who we know outside of losing to Merab, he's had the answer for everybody else. One of the most skilled fighters in the division, and I think one of the most skilled fighters in the UFC period. So I feel like this is a very fun and high-level main event. And then the co-main, we got a good women's fight here between Yan Xiaonan and Denise Gomes. They both bring it every time, both fun strikers to watch. I feel like this will be a fun fight. And then we got Aoriqileng versus Kai Asakura, one of my favorite bantamweights, right? He was at flyweight, now at bantamweight. This is Kai Asakura's weight class, coming off of a nasty KO victory over Cameron Smotherman. And he's got a guy in front of him that is probably going to look to strike with him. So I think that we are in for a fun fight right here. Then we got Alex Perez versus Sumudaerji 2, right? We had the groin strike last time out, so we get to run this one back in a fight to where it felt like the tides were starting to turn and Sumudaerji was starting to run away with this fight. So we get to run this one back. Excited to see how this thing plays out. Then we got Rodrigues versus Ce Liu with the kickboxing background making his debut here. Then we got Bilal Hasan, my favorite prospect in all of MMA right now, coming off of that nasty first-round knockout in under a minute on Dana White's Contender Series. And honestly, thank God he was added to this card, because this gives it the juice, man. Now I'm looking forward to this thing. Now you can feel my energy starting to pick up because we got Bilal Hasan on here. And those of you that know, man, I've been saying, I believe that this guy is eventually going to be the flyweight champion. And I was like, hey, man, maybe they're going to give him a little bit of a layup here. Nilson Rojas, I think, is much better than the guy that Bilal just fought on Dana White's Contender Series. Nilson is undefeated. I think that this is going to be a fun fight to watch for as long as it lasts. We got Andre Lima looking to bounce back in a big way after an awful performance against Kevin Borjas, taking on Batbayar, who is going to bring the fight every single time. I think that this is going to be a banger. Tsuruya, one of the most impressive grapplers at 125 pounds versus, he's a runner, he's a track star, Kevin Borjas. And I feel like the UFC said, the hell with all that track running, Borjas. We're going to go ahead and give you a nasty phenom of a grappler that is 24 years of age in Tsuruya. We got Long Xiao on the card. Jack Jenkins versus Sean Woodson. Sneaky banger at 145 pounds. This is actually one of my favorite fights on the card. So we got some good fights on here. Like I said, a little bit underwhelming on paper, but stylistically, I think that this is going to be a fun night. Over in the U.S., it's going to be very, very early in the morning. I think the prelims start at 3 a.m. So it'll be an early morning, man. Rise and shine. Looking forward to some coffee and some fights. Without further ado, man, let's rock and roll right into this thing. Our first fight of the night, we got Meng versus Cam Nelson. We faded Meng in the debut against Henrique Souza, or Henrique Souza. He's got like 20 different names, so I'm sorry if I'm saying the wrong one. I faded Meng in this fight. And a lot of that was because Souza had some very technical striking, and I felt like was underrated on the feet, to where he would be able to pick and poke and outpoint Meng in that matchup, to where you saw Ding getting frustrated, was trying to track him down and implement that brawling-like style. Ding has a lot of experience. This dude is 35-10. He's been in like a gazillion fights. This dude's 31, but hey, man, when we look at that picture, I got to see a birth certificate, dog. I'm messing around, but listen, I like Meng. He's going to bring it. He's going to throw big, powerful leg kicks, look to rip those shots around the guard, dig to the body. He wants a barn burner type of fight. And if you are going to oblige and you're going to stand in the pocket, there's a chance that you might get knocked out by Meng. So the question is, do we fade Meng here, or will he finally go ding-ding in the UFC and go bing, bing, ding, ding, and land these nasty shots and put Cam Nelson away, who has a big opportunity here, making his UFC debut, right, was on the regional scene, not fighting the best of opposition, to say the least, but I see some promise in the skill of Cam Nilson. This is a guy that's very explosive. He's got some power. We don't have the height and reach here, but he looks very explosive to me. He's got pretty technical striking, and his ground game seems to be rather solid as well, to where I feel like in this fight, if he stands in the pocket and just goes back and forth, trading with Ding, of course, Meng could catch him, outstrike him, and end up winning the fight. But I'm going to side with Cam Nilson here. I think Cam Nilson is going to be able to land some shots on the feet to gain the respect of Ding, hurt him a little bit, and can even mix in some takedowns here to win some minutes, control Ding on the deck, and soften him up with some ground and pound, possibly even get him out of there with some ground and pound or locking in some sort of submission. So this fight to me, I think both guys are very unproven. I know you might say, well, wait a minute, Ding's got all this experience, but at this level, he's relatively unproven. Lost on the Contender Series. Now here he is. I know he's had some moments here and there, right? Lost to, Hamad, who's, a solid fighter, so it's not like it was a bad loss or anything. But I'm just saying, man, going out here against Souza, to be fair, it was very competitive, and I think Souza's a better striker than Cam Nilson. I just feel like Cam can mix it up. He has the grappling to lean on. He has a submission game. He's got the ground and pound. He's explosive to where he can land some powerful shots on the feet. And I feel like if he fights smart here and implements a good game plan, I don't see why Cam Nilson couldn't go out here and win this fight. I think he gets it done 29-28 on the cards, utilizing some grappling, winning minutes, landing some ground and pound. And like I said, wouldn't be surprised if Nilson can land a shot and get him out of there or find a sub. And if Ding can keep this fight on the feet and go ding, ding, and let the boxing go, I see a world where he could potentially get a KO or outscore Cam Nilson. I could see this fight going either way. I'm not really high on both guys right now. Haven't seen a lot from Cam Nilson, but I like some of the things that I've seen from him, and I think the well-rounded skill set may pay off in this matchup, considering we've seen Ding struggle with the takedown defense, and if you start to take him down, he starts to get a little frustrated. I feel like that's where Nilson can frustrate him and start to pull away and get this one done on the cards. Next up, we got Jingnan Xiong versus Julia Polastri. Really? Look, man. I fell for I can't even lie. I'm not even going to pretend. I fell for the BS hype of Jingnan Xiong, right? Coming over, oh, she's almost 39. She's got the boxing. She's got power. She's got these KOs, a fancy record over in one championship. And whoa, she's a champ and blah, blah. I fell for it. And I feel foolish because I outlined how Angela Hill could win the fight, and I still, for some reason, picked this woman. I was like, you know what? The UFC giving her this matchup, maybe they see something here. She's got power. She's knocked people out. She throws these big punches. Of course, she could land some big shots. All I saw this woman do out there against Angela Hill was get cracked with shots over and over and over again and wave her finger around like Mutombo going, no, 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 no. And it's like, yes, 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 because you keep getting drilled in the face. You're doing nothing. You were essentially a moving heavy bag for Angela Hill. And I know that Angela Hill's a crafty OG. She's a veteran of the game. And to be fair, I think she's much better than Julia Polastri, to be fair. But I just saw nothing from Jingnan in that fight that tells me she's going to win a fight in the UFC. And while I don't think Julia Polastri is a world beater by any means, we've seen her at least win some okay fights in the UFC. Beat Corey McKenna, I know. Whoa, we're grasping at straws here. Lupita Godinez, I think she works. Jingnan Xiong, right? Going out there and beating Karolina Karakiewicz, so I've seen her finish somebody in the UFC, and then goes out there against Talita Alencar. Now, this was a disgraceful performance, if I'm being honest. I mean, Talita Alencar is known for her grappling, but the fact that she was having striking success, that's quite a bit concerning to me. But I feel like some of that was maybe Julia was worried about the threat of the takedown. She doesn't really have to worry about in this fight. She doesn't really have to worry about that in this fight. I think that Xiong's going to oblige, move forward, look to land those big, powerful boxing shots, which really, it's not that technical. It's ooga booga. It's these big windmill, shots where she's just fully exposing herself to her. I just think Julia Polastri can be a little bit cleaner. Land some of those kicks, work the body, fight behind a good jab, good straight right hand down the middle. If Julia keeps everything technical and tight and just utilizes her footwork, I don't see how she loses this fight, personally. Off of what I saw in that last fight from Xiong, if that's the version of Xiong that we're going to get in the UFC, I don't see Polastri losing this fight. But having said that, was that just the UFC jitters of Jingnan? Was it that she just, Angela Hill was just so much for her? And like I said, I do think Angela Hill is better than Julia, to be fair. So I expect this to be a closer fight. I just think Julia Polastri, she even has some grappling upside. I think on the feet, she's a little bit more technical. The footwork, the kicking game, as long as she doesn't slow down, I think she could be a step ahead on the feet and outscore Jingnan Xiong and win this one 29-28 on the cards. But as I'm saying that Polastri should win this fight, I still don't trust her after what I just saw against Talita Alankar, who, yes, is a good grappler, but was having moments on the feet. That's just not a good look, because I do think that Xiong is better than Talita Alankar on the feet. At least I would hope, right? Having this boxing background and all this kind of stuff. So off of what I saw in the last performance, I know Angela Hill's very good. It was a bad look. She got wrecked in that fight. It wasn't even close. Wasn't remotely close. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Had all this hype and I don't know. Maybe it was the UFC jitters, right? I know she was rattling off the wins. Maybe it was the inactivity, right? That's something we kind of pointed to, is that she was rather inactive, not fighting all the time, getting a little bit older. Maybe that's a negative at this point in her career. I don't know. Maybe getting in there with Hill, we'll see a better outing this time. I don't know. Until I see something, I'm going to go with Julia Polastri, who I've seen actually look kind of decent in the UFC at moments. I think she'll be the more technical striker, outpointer, and get it done on the cards. But if she fights the way she did against Alankar, maybe Jingnan can land a big shot and get her out of there or out-damage her and win this fight. But I'm going to go Julia. I haven't seen anything from Xiong in the UFC that tells me she's going to win a fight here. Next up, we got Lawrence Louis versus Hector Santiago. Now, if you didn't know that Lawrence Louis could grapple, right? So say you just watch his striking highlights, you watch a fight of him and you see his striking, right? Training with City Kickboxing, you see kind of the influence in his game, that typical CKB style, the long bladed stance, lots of shoulder movement, giving you these different feints, these different reads, trying to, build layers upon the game, fight behind the jab, start to feint, set up these fakes and land those big shots. Lawrence Louis, to me, does it decently, not like what you see from Sterling or Adesanya or Alberg and Ralston and some of these other guys from CKB. I don't think he's on that kind of level, but you do see he's thinking out there. You see the footwork. You see the movement. You do see some of those things. I just don't think Lawrence is as high level as a lot of those guys, and I know that those guys are bigger. I'm just saying in terms of the skill, I don't know that Lawrence Louis is there in the striking. So if you look at his striking and then you look at Hector Santiago, you're like, wait a minute. This guy's got some nasty kickboxing. He's got some serious power. He's going to move forward and throw these big, powerful shots, and we saw him knock out Thiago Santos. Not Maheta, right? Not the Thiago Santos, right? So going out here knocking people out, did get submitted, which to me is a little bit of a red flag. That was 7 months ago, but I like the activity here. This guy's getting in there, and I know he's not fighting world beaters per se, but he's been very active. 33 years of age, 5'6", 69-inch reach. He's going to move forward, and he's going to look to throw these big shots. The problem is, if Louis Smart is not going to just kickbox with this guy. And I do think that there is a world where Lawrence can just be a little bit tighter, a little bit more technical, utilize the being in the octagon. This isn't a kickboxing fight. Mix things up, add in some clinch elements, and, just be able to outscore him and stick and move and utilize his range. But if I'm Lawrence Louis, man, there seems to be a clear hole from what we've seen so far in the game of Hector Santiago, which is don't give him the chance. Don't play the striking game with him. If you don't have to, take this guy down. And we've seen from Lawrence Louis that he is very, very tough. This guy can take a heck of a shot. Now, I wouldn't bank on the durability and the chin in this kind of matchup, considering Hector seems to have quite a bit of power. But, we've seen from Lawrence Louis going out there and beating Zhang, getting the job done, on road to UFC, knocking people out, getting it done over Sula and Grangbo, who's actually a pretty good fighter. I just feel like Lawrence Louis should win this, man. Like, the only way he loses this fight, in my opinion, is if Hector, all of a sudden, his takedown defense looks really good. Lawrence isn't able to get him down, isn't able to keep him down, and Hector's able to move forward and implement his game and let those big shots go. Lawrence Louis should be able to win this fight. He should be able to pick at him from range, mix in some kicks, attack the body, work the lead legs, slow him down, or the lead leg, right? Take away some of the movement, pick at him with the jab, set up the right hand, and then ultimately get to the grappling. Don't play around with this guy on the feet. Brother, somebody have to check the grappling here, right? If I'm Lawrence Louis, that's what I'm doing. Mix in the takedowns, take him down. Take this guy down. You saw him get submitted 7 months ago, right? And I know that Lawrence Louis isn't the most dangerous guy on the ground, but maybe he gets a submission here, right? And I'm not ruling that out, considering I have a lot of questions about Hector's ground game. And I think if Lawrence can get him in some bad spots, he could possibly even get him out of there, with some TKO, with some ground and pound on the ground and get a TKO victory that way. So I'm going to lean on the side of a decision here. Lawrence Louis is a guy that does have some power. He does have good ground and pound. He can mix things up very well. I think that's what you see from him in this fight, is just fights a well-rounded MMA fight. to expose some of the holes that seem to be in the game of Hector Santiago. Maybe he's made some improvements since then, not ruling that out. He's 33. He's been very active, which I like, but I got to side with Lawrence Louis. I've seen more from him, I think, at a higher level than I have from Santiago. But if this plays out on the feet, that's where it could get scary because Santiago absolutely has power, and I think he might be the harder hitter in this matchup to where he could potentially catch Lawrence and get him out of there. But I'll go with Lawrence. Over at CKB, they'll have a good game plan. They won't play around with this guy. Leg kicks, stick and move, fight behind the jab, fire the right hand when it's time, mix in the wrestling, take this guy down and try to beat him up on the ground and keep him there. And then that'll zap the gas tank of Santiago, I would imagine, as well. Give me Lawrence Louis by decision, well-rounded approach. Next up, we got Jack Jenkins versus Sean Woodson. This is actually a really good fight, and one that I've been very back and forth on. Because when I think about the boxing, I think Sean Woodson has an edge there in terms of the overall output, the volume, and the technicality. Sean Woodson is coming from a boxing background, and when you talk about Sean Woodson, whoa, we can't just get into the breakdown. This is the inflatable tube man. This is the alien of the featherweight division. This is the Wemby, the Victor Wembanyama of the featherweight division. This dude is 6'2" with a 78-inch reach at 145 pounds. How this guy makes this weight class, I have no idea. He's all upper body, man. He's got these toothpick legs. He's built like a praying mantis, a grasshopper out there. I'm messing around. I really like Sean Woodson, man. I really like this guy. His boxing is good. He works the body well, fights behind the jab. He'll mix up stances. He, does all these different feints. He kind of looks up like he's playing basketball, like he might shoot a jump shot, throws his hand up, fires off different shots. He's tricky in there. And when you have a guy that has a massive reach and height advantage, some guys struggle to get to the inside. And what we've seen from Sean Woodson in the UFC, he's been good, man. And I know that, on Contender Series, was able to get the job done. We've seen these dicey performances from him. Going out there, decision win over Bazookia. Bazookia is solid, to be fair. I know it hasn't been great for him in the UFC, but he's still solid. Close fight with Charles Jourdain. Thought it could have went either way. I did slightly give the edge to Sean Woodson, and Jourdain's very good. Going out there, beating Alex Caceres, who's a tricky puzzle on the feet. Knocking out Fernando Padilla. We got to see the boxing. And then most recently, almost a year and a half ago, getting knocked out by Dan Ige, which that kind of surprised me, right? And to be fair, Dan Ige is very, very game, right? Dan Ige is one of the guys who's almost at this point kind of a gatekeeper in the featherweight division, but he can switch stances very well. He's very well-rounded, has that nasty power, and he was able to put it on the chin. Pause. He was able to land on the chin. Pause. He was able to land a big shot on the chin of Sean Woodson and hurt him and put him away up against the fence. And then that's where we had the ref come in. And I think that famous meme where he was like, I think that was this fight where that meme was going around with the ref. The reality is I think if Sean Woodson keeps this at range and has an answer for the low kicks of Jack Jenkins, he gives himself a very good chance to win this fight. And if he could stop some of the takedowns, utilize that lanky, awkward frame, and utilize his boxing, I think Sean Woodson is very capable of going out here and outpointing Jack Jenkins to win a decision. The thing that makes me nervous for Woodson is those string bean legs, man. I mean, for a guy that has, and to be fair, Sean Woodson, while he's good, he's not very fast in there. It kind of looks like he's moving in slow motion. Things are just kind of like, it's kind of funky in there, which makes him a little bit awkward, but he does have some sneaky power in moments, but then in other times, it's like, where's the power here? And Jack Jenkins is a guy that historically has been very, very durable on the feet. He's a hard guy to hurt and back off. Right, and we've seen from him in the UFC, right, got the win on Contender Series, got the finish, goes out there, split decision 3 years ago against Jamal Emmers. We saw what Emmers just did to Le'Veon Douglas, right? Emmers has been rattling off some nice wins, some crafty wins, right? Got submitted didn't get submitted, right? My bad on this one. Okay, Chepe Mariscal. This is where he got injured, right? So there's a TKO loss on the record of Jack Jenkins, but it was the arm injury, so it was not actually a KO loss. It's not like he got flatlined or anything. Goes out there, finishes Herbert Burns. It kind of took a little bit too long, in my opinion, because I think Herbert Burns was an awful MMA fighter. Good jiu-jitsu, not a fighter, in my opinion. This is where he got submitted against Gabriel Santos. But we know how good Santos is. I think that there's a good shot Santos could go out there and beat Sean Woodson. And he's coming off of a victory 10 months ago against Ramon Taveras, who's a good boxer, good southpaw boxer, can switch it up on the feet a little bit. So he was just in there with a good boxer. And we've seen with Jack Jenkins, his boxing is solid. His grappling offensively is actually pretty good. He's got some good takedowns. He does have a submission threat as well, but it's the leg kicks of Jack Jenkins that I think are his best asset. The calf kicks, he will just absolutely wreck your legs. And I just am having a hard time getting the vision out of my head of Sean Woodson landing these boxing combos, stepping in with the jab, and that's where Jenkins is just going to get the head off the center line and just chop away, man, like he's trying to chop down a tree with those leg kicks. So for that reason, I'm going to pick Jack Jenkins to win this fight by a decision. I think it's going to be competitive. And like I said, as of right now, this is what I'm thinking, right? This is where my head is at right now, because this is the one fight on here to where I got the dot next to it, because I'm like, I'm kind of on the fence for either side, and I think it's a 50-50 fight. I just feel like the damage that the damage that Jenkins is going to do with the leg kicks is going to be very, very, it's going to be rewarded by the judges. And Jenkins' boxing is solid. He does have the grappling to be able to, take away some of that size and physicality that Woodson brings to the weight class by pushing him up against the fence, wearing on him, slowing him down. And then when he throws those leg kicks, man, I think he's going to be getting some massive reactions from Sean Woodson. And all it's going to take is a few to where I feel like then the sniper, Sean Woodson's going to start moving a little funky in there, like the inflatable tube man outside of the car dealership. And then it's going to get a little funky in there. And I feel like the visual is just not going to be that great. And those leg kicks are going to be the reason Jack Jenkins gets the job done. I think Woodson's the better boxer, but I just feel like those leg kicks of Jenkins, I can't ignore it. And those little legs that Woodson brings to the table, man, I just can't help but see him struggling, and he's not the fastest guy. It's not like we've seen him in there like easily getting the leg out of the way, doing a great job checking. I got some questions in that department, but if he has an answer for the leg kicks and he can check, he can get his legs out of the way, switch stances, maybe go southpaw to negate some of that. But I feel like Jack Jenkins will just go shin to shin. He'll rip the kicks to the body, threaten with high kicks, throw the boxing combos to get Woodson think it's boxing, and then just hack away with the leg kicks, man. So I'm going to go Jack Jenkins. I think the damage of the leg kicks will add up. I think he can mix in some clinch work, land some of his own boxing combos, and just be able to out-damage Woodson, like I said again, due to the leg kicks. But if Woodson has an answer for those, and he can make Jenkins pay by countering him with the boxing, defend the kicks, switch the stances, have an answer there, I think it's possible for sure that Sean Woodson can go out here and put the boxing on Jenkins and outscore him. So maybe the time away is good for Sean Woodson here, but I'm going to go with Jenkins, man. I feel like people in a way kind of forget how good this guy is. It just feels like he's being slept on a little bit for some reason to me coming into this. So I'm going to go Jack Jenkins. I think the leg kicks are going to be a big factor in this fight, and I think his boxing is not as good as Woodson, but decent enough to be able to give him some problems, and he also has the grappling to lean on. We've seen him have some issues with the grappling defensively. We saw that against Gabriel Santos, but I don't think Woodson is that level of a threat when the fight hits the ground. He's a tricky guy to take down, though, with that tall, slim build. So, but I think Jenkins is up for the challenge. I think the leg kicks are the difference here. Next up, we got Long Xiao versus Francesco Nuzzi. Now, I was back and forth on this fight because I haven't been that high on Long Xiao, and I actually picked Cody Garbrandt to beat Long Xiao. Now, to be fair, I didn't think Cody Garbrandt won this fight. It was essentially the fouls. There were so many fouls from Long Xiao. He just kept screwing up over and over and over again in this fight to where it felt like the judges were like, to hell with this. We're not giving this guy the decision, right? And then obviously the point deduction and Garbrandt getting mad for 2 seconds and then throwing one strike and then doing nothing else the rest of the round. I picked Garbrandt and I didn't think he won. And I know that Garbrandt's not the same guy, but I'm just having a hard time trying to pick some guy coming into the UFC here who I literally felt like Long Xiao just beat Cody Garbrandt. Do I think that Nuzzi could beat Garbrandt? Maybe, but I got to see a little something from Nuzzi first, man. This guy's coming over from Cage Warriors, and to be fair, I mean, he does have a win over Bernardo Sopai, which is impressive, back in 2021, but I feel like if you run that back, Bernardo easily wins the rematch. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't know. I feel like Nuzzi, maybe the more technical striker here, southpaw, Thai-like style, right? Very square, throws the front kicks, mixes in kicks to the body to try to set up the high kick. His boxing is pretty decent. His ground game is okay. We've seen him, get pushed up against the fence. We've seen him get taken down and have some issues there. I feel like he's the more technical striker in a way. So that's why I've been back and forth on this to where I'm like, I could see Nuzzi coming in here and pulling off the upset. And I think that's very possible. I think this is a close fight, but what I think is going to be the difference is the relentless forward pressure that I feel like Xiao is going to bring to the table. And if you're going out here and you're beating Garbrandt, you're having a competitive fight, in the UFC, I know, I haven't been high on Long Xiao, to be fair. Going out there, knocking out Quang Lei, who we've at least seen be somewhat decent in the UFC, I don't know, man. I feel like this is a greasy fight, a very, very greasy fight. Do I want to pick Nuzzi? I've been so back and forth on this, man, because he has a win over in PFL. Nice head kick KO. Got submitted. We saw some issues on the ground. Can Long Xiao take him down? Can he land some shots there on the ground? Can Long Xiao land some shots on the ground? Can he mix in some grappling? Long Xiao likes to kind of stand and bang and move forward and get into the pocket. So, and we've seen Long Xiao is actually pretty durable. He gets into these firefights. I feel like Nuzzi's the more technical guy. And if he could be on the front foot, if he's on the back foot, just kind of pick at Long Xiao, frustrate him, land those good shots. Xiao starts to kind of taunt and wave him in and look for the brawl. As long as Nuzzi avoids that, I feel like he can outscore him. But for some reason, I just feel like Long Xiao's just going to walk him down and not have any respect for his power, and he's just going to be able to land some big power shots of his own and just be able to out-volume him. I don't know. I got some questions about Nuzzi. For now, I'm going to say Long Xiao gets this one done by a decision, but I think it's going to be competitive either way. I could see Nuzzi winning this fight. So I want to see the weigh-ins. I want to get a better read on this Nuzzi guy here, because from what I saw, I actually thought his striking was pretty decent. Got some questions about the grappling. A win over Sopai back in, I think it was 2021. It was a split decision. That's pretty impressive, and I think Bernardo Sopai is better than Long Xiao, but, that was a while ago. Sopai is much better. So Nuzzi has some experience in the PFL. I like that. His striking is good. But for some reason, I'm just seeing Long Xiao walk forward, playing that, Dutch style where he's just going to put his hands up, walk forward behind the high guard, let the right hand go, rip to the body, spam, some kicks to the body, attack the legs, maybe even mix in some clinch work, and just be able to slightly outwork Nuzzi and kind of bring that dog-like attitude to the fight to where I just feel like that marauder-like, game is just going to be able to kind of take away some of that technique that Nuzzi is going to try to bring to the table, where he's going to want to be long and rangy. So for now, I'll say Long Xiao by a decision, but I want to see the weigh-ins. I want to see these guys face off, get a better read. And sometimes when we get to fight week, some of these prospects that are bursting onto the scene out of nowhere, because I think Nuzzi's taking this on short notice, more film comes out to where I can find some more stuff. I've seen some stuff on Francesco over in, the PFL, over in Cage Warriors, and I think he's actually kind of good. But I just feel like Long Xiao's style, getting to the inside, dirty boxing, I think that might be able to pay off for him in this fight. And I know beating Garbrandt in 2026, it's not like it means a whole lot. Even though he lost this fight, I thought he won if he doesn't foul and do all that stuff. And even with all that, I still thought that he should have won the fight. So either way, I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm conflicting on this one. It's stressing me out. I'm going to move on. But for now, I'll say Xiao, but check back later in the week, I guess. All right, Ray Tsuruya versus Kevin Borjas. This fight's pretty simple to me, man. Listen, Ray Tsuruya, his striking actually I feel like is getting better. And he's only 24 years of age, and he's going to continue to get better. And I feel like what was a victory in a way was this guy went out there and didn't get finished by Joshua Van. We saw him shoot takedown after takedown after takedown, had some uncomfortable moments on the feet, was able to stay safe. And outside of losing to Joshua Van, he was impressive on road to the UFC, getting everybody out of there. The debut against Carlos Hernandez, a dominant win, going out there making easy work of Luis Garul, getting to the back and submitting him. If Kevin Borjas can keep this fight on the feet, we've seen that Borjas can be very scrambly. He's a scrambly little rascal, man. He's a hard guy to hold down at times. If he could be that wiry, lanky kind of, style where he's running around like he's a runner, he's a track star, and keep his, stay on his bike, I see a world where he could outscore Ray Tsuruya and keep this fight on the feet and maybe even land a big shot and put him in some danger. But I just can't help but see Ray Tsuruya get this dude down with relative ease and get him into a bad spot and end up submitting him. So I'm taking Ray Tsuruya to win this fight by submission. I'm not going to overthink this here. Kevin Borjas was pathetic in this fight, and so was Andre Lima. They were both pathetic. And I know Lima was a massive favorite, so shout out to Borjas for getting the job done, but I feel like that, was it like a low blow or something to where there was the time in between? And I feel like that allowed Borjas to be able to recover, which I felt like was a big, help for him, was a big boost. He got finished by Alessandro Costa, got it done against Ronaldo Rodriguez, which was impressive to be fair. Lost to Sumudaerji, got KO'd brutally by Rodriguez, but he hurt Imanol really bad in that fight. So Borjas is not a bad fighter. His striking is good. He's pretty accurate when he decides to go. He's just not the most, active guy in there, right? He's low output, active in terms of not staying busy enough. He kind of looks for the perfect shot. Sometimes that can lead you into some trouble. I think on the feet, he has the edge, but I feel like Tsuruya's striking has gotten better, and it's gotten good enough to be able to land some shots, close the distance, get a hold of Kevin Borjas. And I think on the ground, even though we've seen Borjas is scrambly and he's decent there, I feel like there's a big skill gap on the ground. I think Tsuruya will show that in this fight. I think he gets Borjas down early, gets him into a bad spot, takes the back, and locks in a rear naked choke and gets him out of there. From what we've seen from Ray Tsuruya, he looks to be one of the best grapplers in the flyweight division. And just because you lose to Joshua Van, not only is that the champion, that's the guy with the best boxing in this weight class, and a guy that has really, really good takedown defense and knows how to play it safe on the ground to not allow you to get into those good positions. I don't think Kevin Borjas can do the same thing. The runner track star stuff, I don't think is going to work against Tsuruya. Tsuruya's got to be careful though, because if he chases Borjas and overextends, that's where Kevin can snipe him with a right hand or something and clip him. But outside of that, if Tsuruya gets this fight to the ground, I think he dominates it. Maybe he just controls him over the course of 15 and wins a decision. I think he finds a sub at some point. I think it happens early. Give me Ray Tsuruya by first round submission. I think he dominates Borjas and shows levels on the ground. Next up, we got Andre Lima versus Namsrai Batbayar. Low-key banger. Namsrai Batbayar has only lost one fight in his entire career. And all we see from this guy is someone that is going to walk forward and throw massive power shots looking to take your head off. And he's going to shoot big, powerful takedowns to get you down. And this guy's looking to finish, man. He is not in there trying to win some sort of decision and stick and move and outpoint you. I mean, look at the resume. It speaks for itself. Submission, ground and pound, or nasty shot leading into a hammer fist, right? Submission. Going out there, knockout on road to the UFC. And he was very impressive on road to the UFC. I remember watching him. I'm like, wow, this guy brings it, man. He starts fast. He comes out like a bat out of hell, gets in your face, looks to make you very, very uncomfortable. And if you're a slow starter, like sometimes Andre Lima tends to be, in my opinion, in certain fights, that's where Namsrai could possibly take advantage of him early and catch Lima slipping. Right, catch him, not fully switched on because he's trying to get a feel for the fight, and Batbayar closes the distance and lands a big right hand or a big left hand or something and lands a massive shot and puts him away. Because we've seen that outside of Lima losing to Kevin Borjas, which was just an awful fight from Andre Lima, and it was for Borjas as well. It was a terrible fight. Borjas ran the whole time. Lima had a hard time tracking him down. I mean, it was a disastrous fight, but outside of that, Andre Lima is shown to be very, very good. Mitch Raposo's a good boxer, right? Got the split decision nod over him, and Raposo's also a good wrestler. Beat Felipe Dos Santos, who's a very good fighter, and then was able to submit Daniel Barres late in the fight. So I feel like Namsrai is more dangerous, especially early, than pretty much everyone Andre Lima has fought. But outside of Batbayar catching him with a big shot early, I feel like he's one of these guys, man, that if you can't get that early finish, you start to see him kind of slow down a little bit. You start to see guys be able to chip away. They start to be able to drag it out. Now, to be fair, it's only happened basically one time, because outside of that, Batbayar is having his way. He's getting in your face, putting the power on you, putting that pressure on, and landing some big shots or taking you down and locking in a submission. I just feel like Andre Lima is too good to fall into the Batbayar trap here. I feel like Andre Lima is going to fight smart early. He'll be on high alert, knowing that the danger is there. He'll throw those leg kicks. He's got good leg kicks. I think his boxing is a little bit on the weaker side. I feel like that was kind of exploited a little bit by Kevin Borjas. But I feel like Lima hopefully he's tightened it up a little bit. Fights behind the jab, lets some of the boxing combos go, that Muay Thai style. I think he will hammer away with kicks to the legs, bring, some kicks to the body, fight smart early, pressure intelligently, and eventually maybe it has to weather a storm here. But I think the longer this fight goes, which I think it will, outside of Batbayar clipping him early, I think this fight extends. I think Lima attacks the base, slows down Batbayar. The gas tank starts to diminish. That's where you see Lima get to the back of Namsrai late in the fight and finds a submission in round number 3. If not, he'll just outscore him and win a decision, utilizing the boxing, the kicks, and attacking the leg of Batbayar. And I think he could out-grapple him, especially as the fight starts to play out. I feel like Lima can start to have a lot more success once the Batbayar game, I think, will slow down, which we've seen sometimes it can happen, especially if the fight extends. So when you're a fast starter and you're getting everybody out of there early, if it doesn't happen against an experienced guy like Lima, who's 27 and been in there with some pretty game opposition, I feel like Lima will have a smart approach, avoid the big shots early, extend this fight out, and eventually find a submission late in this fight. I think Lima's leg kicks are going to be a big factor here. The movement, I don't think he's just going to be a sitting duck for Batbayar to tee off on. Give me Andre Lima by way of a crafty, I know he hasn't been in the UFC for that long, but he's got a veteran-like approach, and I feel like he's going to be hungry to bounce back after a horrible performance 2 months ago where he was a big favorite and dropped the ball against Kevin Borjas. But Borjas, like I said, he can surprise you. He's pretty accurate on the feet. I think he's more accurate and a little bit harder to deal with than Batbayar, who's going to move forward and be right there for Lima to get after. So give me Lima to get this one done. I think he's the more well-rounded fighter, and I think he wins this one here by submission. Next up, finally, we get to Bilal Hasan versus Nilson Rojas. So we'll get the pick out of the way. I'm picking Bilal Hasan to win this fight. All right, I'll save you the suspense. To be fair to Nilson Rojas, I actually really like what I've seen from this guy. And to be fair, there hasn't been much that I was at least able to find. There was a Nelson Rojas, and I don't think it's the same person, right? So I was able to find some things on Nelson Rojas, and then I did find some things on Nilson Rojas. And what we've seen from Nilson is this is a guy that's got nasty power in his hands. He's going to walk forward. He's going to throw big leg kicks. He's going to walk forward with that high guard, go a little bit peekaboo style, and he loves to land big, powerful boxing combinations where he loads up and throws the overhand, throws the left hook as he's kind of stepping through. And I think that this guy is going to lose this fight, but I would like to see him get another chance in the UFC because this is a tough debut, man. I mean, not only is Bilal Hasan coming off of where he was the biggest favorite in DWCS history, and we picked him to win this fight by first-round knockout within the first couple minutes, and it didn't even take that long. It took less than a minute. I would like to believe that Rojas is much better than Saikia. And in my Dana White Contender Series breakdown, I like to try to be fair to everybody. Everyone's getting their big opportunity coming in, to Dana White Contender Series, trying to realize their dream. You guys could tell in that breakdown at the end and the reels I was making, I knew Bilal Hasan was going to destroy the guy, right? And I was trying to be fair to Saikia, but he was completely outgunned in that fight. The reality is, Rojas is much better than Saikia. I'm telling you that now. But having said that, Bilal Hasan, man, this isn't just some prospect. And I'm one of these guys, man, where I know, I hype up some prospects and I get excited. I have never said that someone coming off of Dana White's Contender Series or prior to stepping foot on Dana White Contender Series is going to be a champion. That's what I've been saying about Bilal Hasan. I've never said it before. This is the only time I've done this. I have seen everything I need to see from Bilal Hasan. The eye test. Right? Like scouts, when you're watching football, I can sit there and go, this guy right there, he's going to be good. Wait until he gets into the NFL. That's what I see in here. I knew Hamzat Chimaev over in Brave and Ilya Tapor. I knew these guys were going to be good, right? They didn't come through Dana White Contender Series, but I knew Bilal, you can watch this guy fight and you can see it, man. If he fights kind of like a Sean O'Malley, a prime Conor McGregor, that's his game. He can switch stances beautifully. The way he throws out the feints, he kind of shows you the backhand, right? He gives you the little shoulder fakes. He, brings it up like he's going to throw a teep. He shows you all kinds of feints, twitches the hip, right? Working with Mighty Mouse, training over at Charlie's Combat Club. This dude is for real, man. He's absolutely for real. And people are like, you're jumping the gun based off of a DWCS victory. It was before he went on DWCS, man. Bilal Hasan is that good. The Indo Ninja is that good, man. And I'm telling you, he's going to be the flyweight champion at some point. He absolutely is. And I think that this is a guy that's going to move up to bantamweight down the line at some point. He's 25 years of age. He's only going to get better. Now, of course, he's got to get through this fight here. This is tougher. This is a tougher opponent, I think, than what he had on Dana White's Contender Series, and it's possible that this could be the toughest fight that he's had in his career because Nilson Rojas is undefeated, and not only is he undefeated, but he's knocking people out, and that's a scary guy to deal with, someone with confidence, someone that has not tasted defeat, right? Most recently, 4 weeks ago, won by a decision, so this guy lived to tell the tale, right? He didn't get stopped, but more often than not, Rojas is knocking people out. He's a guy that's going to have a lot of confidence. He's going to move forward. He hasn't lost yet, so he's going to fight that way. But that's exactly what I think his downfall is going to be. He's going to load up and walk forward and throw these big shots, and Bilal Hasan's going to be walking you into traps, right? Rojas is a guy that's going to be walking forward, trying to throw these big shots and make them land, while Bilal's a high-level thinker in there. He's high fight IQ. He's setting things up. He's going to be burying those front kicks to the midsection. He's going to be throwing those spinning wheel kicks. He's going to be throwing those spinning attacks. He's going to be chopping away at the legs. He's going to be fighting behind the jab, showing you the right hand, throwing the left hook to the body. And Hasan's a switch hitter. He can fight very, very well out of both stances, right? The one thing about Bilal is sometimes he does get a little aggressive on the front foot, pushing the pace, right? And you can see guys step in to where the chin is sometimes not necessarily up in the air, but the hands come down. That's just the style to where a guy like Rojas, who does have power, could potentially step in and land some sort of big shot. But I don't think it happens. I think Bilal Hasan is the real deal. I think he goes out here and gets a knockout. I'll say it happens in the first round. Maybe it takes a little bit more time. Hasan just fought on DWCS. He has to cut weight again, fly all the way over to, to Shanghai here. But I think he makes good on the debut. I think he goes out here, does the moonwalk, lands a Michael Jackson kick, boom, right up the middle and playing around, and knocks out Rojas. Listen, man, we are Bilal Hasan fans. We are Team Bilal Hasan. I'm rooting for this guy, man. I'm high on him. And like I said, I think he's going to be the champion. I'm glazing because I think it's warranted. I think this guy's special. I don't think we've ever seen anybody like this in the flyweight division. We've seen Joshua Van. We've seen, some outstanding strikers. And obviously, we got to see Bilal do it in the UFC. I understand that. I don't think we've ever seen somebody that fights like this at 125 pounds. That's 5'7" with a 70-inch reach that has lightning fast striking. That reminds me a little bit of O'Malley, the way he can switch stances, the way, sets up the pull counter right hand, works the body very well, works all three levels, can throw everything, right? With the high-level Taekwondo background, he's got the flashy techniques. He's got it all, man. And I think he attacks the body early with the front kicks, attacks the leg, takes away some of that, base that Rojas has, right, where he's going to be heavy on that lead leg moving forward, looking to box, attack the calf, take away some of that base, take away some of that movement, make him more of a sitting duck, and I just can't help but feel Nilson's going to be throwing these big winding, boxing combos, and that's where Hasan's just going to beat him to the punch with good, sharp, straight shots, and that's what Hasan brings, not only high-level technique with accuracy and speed, but he's got crazy power, too, at 125. And how about the flyweight division? Right, this and welterweight are the best divisions in the UFC right now, but I think flyweight, it's my favorite personally. And then you add a guy like Bilal into the equation with high-level striking, with nasty power to go along with it to where he can one-shot KO you. I mean, we saw that in this. I mean, Sakia threw one leg kick and Bilal just had the read right away, boom, timed him with the right hand and put him away. So that's what you've seen, and you've also seen Bilal Hasan go out there and submit guys. So people are like, well, what about the grappling? His grappling is very good from what I've seen when I was watching him over in CFFC. So his ground game is good. We've gotten to see that on display. I wouldn't be surprised if Rojas is the most difficult fight that he's had in terms of the best opponent, because I actually think Nilson is very good. I think he loses. I'd like to see him get another shot in the UFC, especially where he gets a full camp and all this kind of stuff. But again, Hasan's just coming off of a fight here. Cutting weight again, all these kinds of things. Bilal's got the X factor. He's got the it factor. He's got the personality, the style, the swag, the microphone skills. He checks every single box, man. I'm a fan of this guy, and I'm rooting for him. I'm Team Hasan all day long. Bias aside, I really do think he wins this fight. I really do. He's too accurate, man. And even though Rojas is dangerous, when you walk forward with that boxing-based style and you load up on these punches, you're just going to get beat down the middle by a more accurate, sharp puncher, which is what Bilal brings to the table. And he's got a lot of dynamic kicks that he can use as well. Bilal, to me, the much better fighter. This isn't just a guy that's going to come into the UFC and be fun. He is going to be a top contender, and eventually he will be the flyweight champion. I'm just telling you. How I see it going down, man. I'm very, very high on this guy. I've not been this high on somebody coming into the UFC, especially through DWCS. I just see something in this guy, man. The eye, everything's telling me. I love watching this guy fight. I like what he brings to the table. I like him. He seems like a great guy. And I think he goes out here and puts on a show, man. So this was more of a Bilal Hasan glaze session, but I was excited to talk about this, man. I like what this kid brings to the table. He's a ton of fun, and I'm rooting for him. So there we go. The channel, we are all behind Bilal Hasan, man. I'm happy for this kid. Next up, we got Levi Rodrigues versus Ce Liu. Man, Levi Rodrigues just got knocked out a month ago. Well, not knocked out, but got destroyed on the ground, right? To be fair, landed some good shots early to where it almost looked like he was going to knock out Franco, and Franco's actually a really good grappler, and he looks like he could actually be something at light heavyweight, and this seems like it could be his weight class. Levi Rodrigues is a good kickboxer, and I feel like people are going to quickly forget because of this loss, but went out there, beat Freddie Vidal, but then I believe he popped and all that kind of stuff, which I don't like that. Freddie Vidal, I mean, he's not good. Let's just be honest there, right? But we saw over in LFA, knocking people out. He's got nasty power, good leg kicks, a good sharp left hook, a good right hand. He's got a nasty jab. But I don't know, man. If you're just going to go in there, if Rodrigues, I mean, I feel like he's the better grappler here, but I don't know for sure because we haven't really seen it. I would like to hope that he's the better grappler to where it's not to say that he couldn't knock out Ce Liu because we got to see what Ce Liu can actually bring to the table here. But I feel like if Rodrigues has even decent grappling and solid takedowns, he could take down Ce Liu and just, I mean, destroy him on the ground because from what I've seen from Ce Liu, I haven't seen a ground game. But the thing is, it feels like that's why the UFC booked this fight, because Ce Liu is a nasty kickboxer. He's got a ton of accolades, right? Over in K1, was at least a champion in one weight class, maybe even in more. It's kind of slipping my mind right now because I was just watching this guy before I made the video and looking up some of the accolades. He's a very accomplished kickboxer, to say the least. Nasty leg kicks, big power in his hands. He's either all the way in, all the way out. And whenever he decides to throw, he's throwing with bad intentions, right? And this was a bad look almost two years ago. Had some problems on the ground, got finished. But if you're not going to take him down and you're just going to stand in front of him, you're probably going to get knocked out. Now, to be fair, he hasn't fought anybody good in MMA. And I feel like Levi Rodrigues is better than everyone he's fought so far, but he's a kickboxer. So if this is a kickboxing fight in the UFC, I'm going to favor the guy that is a high-level kickboxer, even though I think it's possible. I think someone gets knocked out either way. And I could very much see Levi catching him with some sort of left hook or something. But I'm going to go with Ce Liu here. From what I've seen, over in K1, even in the MMA, since he came over to MMA, nasty low kicks. He was supposed to be fighting Tafa, right? And it felt like the UFC's like, oh, he'll just leg kick Tafa and get a win here. No guarantee because Tafa's very good. And I think Tafa's better than Levi Rodrigues. I know Rodrigues showed some moments against Franco, but Franco's not that good on the feet. I know it's his ground game. That was the difference. Ce Liu, to me, better on the feet than Franco. Can go out here and kickbox with Rodrigues, no problem. But if you're going to play the kickboxing game with 4-ounce gloves on, all it takes is one shot. Anybody can get caught. It's possible Rodrigues wins. I don't feel confident in this fight because I haven't seen a lot from Ce Liu in MMA. I haven't seen a lot that I particularly like from Rodrigues, but I did, to be fair, think Rodrigues could catch Felipe in that fight, but I was worried about the ground game of Franco, but I think Ce Liu is more high level than Franco on the feet where he can comfortably kickbox, and if it's just kickboxing, I think he's comfortable in that realm, can attack the base of Rodrigues, land some good shots, and counter him with a big right hand and put him away. Give me Ce Liu to find the knockout, but if he doesn't get the KO, I think it's Rodrigues knocking him out. So either way, I think someone gets KO'd, but I'll say Ce Liu gets it done in the debut. Next up, we got Alex Perez versus Sumudaerji 2. I picked Sumudaerji the first time, and I believe he was the underdog. And I would imagine this time around, it looks like here he's the favorite, which I get it. Because you're getting to see that Sumudaerji is a lot better than what I feel like a lot of people want to give him credit for. On the feet, Sumudaerji can hang with just about anybody. He's very, very fast out of that southpaw stance, rips very good kicks to the body, sets up the high kick very well. He's got a great straight left hand, a good jab, very, very snappy. And his takedown defense has gotten so much better. His takedown defense has improved leaps and bounds over the past couple years. And since losing to Charles Johnson, which, I mean, again, Charles Johnson just keeps taking out the striking prospects, right? Was able to get it done against Mitch Raposo, displayed very good takedown defense. And to be fair, I didn't think this was a split decision. I thought Sumudaerji pretty clearly won the fight, even though it was competitive. Outscored Kevin Borjas, got it done against Jesus Aguilar, and was out-grappling the grappler in Jesus Aguilar. And then this fight against Alex Perez, the first time around where the takedown defense looked good. I think Alex Perez's boxing, right, we saw him, just kind of fluke Charles Johnson, right, land the left hook and knocked him out, which is crazy. All of the dangerous strikers that Johnson's been in there with, and the one that knocks him out is Alex Perez, man. Charles Johnson, energy, man. One of the most confusing careers, right? Knocked out Mateos Nicolau, ran into some problems, got the knee blown out against Tatsuro Taira. We know how good Taira is. Got subbed by Asuama Baya, but to be fair, he was winning that fight. I thought he was up 2-0. And then the Hail Mary sub from Asuama Baya, Shavkat was like, brother, get to the back, brother, right? Or something like that. I'm making that up. But, literally, they must have told him that because he immediately attacked the back and got a submission. I don't like what I saw from Perez in the first fight. I thought Sumudaerji's speed, footwork, timing, and I feel in rhythm was just too much for Perez. And I feel like Perez, even though he's a good grappler, I don't know that he's going to be able to out-grapple Sumudaerji. And maybe, him being in there with Sumudaerji the first time is going to give him a better grasp for how to close the distance, work his game, come in with maybe a different approach to get to the boxing. I don't know. But from what I saw, it was enough for me to pick Sumudaerji coming into the first fight. And off of what I saw, the way that fight was playing out until the groin, stuff happened, I'm not going to pick against Sumudaerji here. I think he outscores Alex Perez and wins a decision. I think the takedown defense looks good. He can scramble, and I think as long as it's on the feet. I mean, I think Perez maybe has more power per se, but I think Sumudaerji is sharper, faster, better footwork, better movement. I think he picks at Perez with the kicks, fires off the left hand, is able to outscore him and get the job done with relative ease this time around. Give me Sumudaerji. I think he's going to have a lot of confidence this time around. Been in there with Perez already. I think he puts his foot on the gas a little bit more, not as afraid of the takedowns, and can open up a little bit more offensively and outscore Perez. And maybe he hurts him and gets him out of there. Was stinging him up with some good shots the first time, so I don't see why he can't do it again. I feel like Sumudaerji has made some nice improvements. I think he goes out here and gets the job done. Next up, we got Kai Asakura versus Aoriqileng. This should be a Hunger Games fight. And if you don't know what I mean by that, the cannon should sound. Boom. I like Aoriqileng. His best hope is outside of fluking Asakura with a ducking and chucking and closing his eyes and throwing some big shot or mixing in the takedown. I think he should grapple. Mix in the takedowns. Because Kai Asakura, this is his weight class. And if you aren't a very good grappler, you're going to be in danger against Kai, man. This dude over in Ryzen, I was super excited to see him in the UFC. I hated the matchups, though. I mean, I get it. He's got all the hype in the world. He's, got a massive following on YouTube. He's got like over 1 million subscribers or something like that. This dude is so fun to watch. And I saw him at UFC 319, and I couldn't believe that he was making flyweight because he was pretty big in person, man. So he was clearly compromising himself to make the weight class. But either way, bad matchup against Pantoja. We picked Pantoja in that fight. I did pick him against Tim Elliott, but should have known better because of the ground game, right? Tim Elliott's ground game is really, really good. Then you give him a striker in Cameron Smotherman, and he just gets floored, right? So that's what Asakura brings to the table. Outside of Aoriqileng clipping him with a shot, because in the striking game, we know how that could go. I think Aoriqileng should look to get some of the takedowns, man. I know he was able to, go distance with Raul Rosas, got knocked out by Cody Gibson, got knocked out by Ayman Zahabi early, got stopped by Cody Haddon, and Haddon had a long layoff, and I am high on Cody Haddon, but man, Kai Asakura is the real deal on the feet, man. You got to see it in Ryzen. I mean, the flying knees, the knees to the body, the right hands, the way he was able to put away Juan Archuleta. I mean, the Manel Cap and Kyoji Oraguchi fights and all that kind of stuff. Kai Asakura is nasty, and in this weight class, there are very few guys that are going to be able to strike with him. The best bet against Asakura, dive for the legs immediately, get him down, because outside of timing a perfect shot, you are in danger at all times against Kai Asakura. I think he's flooring Aoriqileng in the very first round. Kai Asakura might even break out the flying knee here, a knee to the body. I think he's going to throw another shifting combination like what we saw against Cameron Smotherman and quickly get to the target against Aoriqileng. Right hand, left hook, puts Aoriqileng down bad. But if Aoriqileng looks to level change, I think Kai Asakura could break out the flying knee and clip Aoriqileng and get him out of there. Either way, Asakura gets a knockout in this fight, first or second round, and I think it's pretty brutal. I'm high on Kai Asakura. I really like this dude. One of my favorites in this division. His striking's next level, man. I feel like people have quickly forgotten. And the Smotherman fight, they're like, oh, well, Smotherman wasn't that good. Yeah, but we haven't really seen anybody do that to Smotherman, and it just speaks to the skill that Asakura brings to the table. He's nasty, man. 5'8", 69-inch reach. He was draining himself too much at 125. I feel like he was a shell of himself. Not saying he beats Pantoja and Elliott per se, because the grapplers are bad for him stylistically, but on the feet, Asakura is a handful to deal with. His speed and power is next level. I think he floors Aoriqileng early in this fight. Co-main event, we got Yan Xiaonan versus Denise Gomes. I've been back and forth on this fight because I really don't know what to think of Denise Gomes. I see fights to where, okay, so she's beating Edouard Mora by a split decision, and I'm like, okay, Mora's decent, so not a okay, decent. 2 years ago, beating Karolina Karakiewicz, I thought she could have found a finish in that fight, but didn't. Knocked out Elise Reed, but really, what does that mean at this point? To be fair, did it faster than what Chanel Dyer did. Beating Tisha Pennington by a decision, losing to Angela Hill, and lost to Loma Lugbume, I believe. Now, I know that was a while ago. She's 26. She's making improvements. I think Denise Gomes is the power advantage. I think she's the better grappler. But for some reason, I don't know, man. I don't really know what to make of her at this point. I got some questions. How high is her ceiling? Right? I know she's younger, and I think she's making more improvements at this point than Yan Xiaonan is. And I think Denise Gomes can land some big damaging shots and maybe, that looks good to the judges, and she's able to win the damage battle and get this done on the cards. If she mixes in the takedowns, we've seen, Yan have problems on the ground. We've seen her spend a lot of time on her back, on bottom, to where she loses minutes. I feel like Denise Gomes should look to land big clubbing overhands and then get to the grappling and keep Xiaonan down and win minutes and land some big shots on the feet and out damage her. The problem is, can she do it? I don't know. Because when I look at Xiaonan, I've always been high on her, man. I mean, beating Mackenzie Dern, knocking out Jessica Andrade with a beautiful, sharp right hand right down the middle. Yeah, lost to Zhang Wei Li, but, I mean, one of the best we've ever seen in women's MMA, period. Beating Tabitha Ricci easily, and then going out there and losing to Virna Jandiroba. Jandiroba, I think, beats Gomes, right? So, I mean, Jandiroba is a really good grappler, one of the best women's grapplers in the UFC. So the way I see this fight going is Gomes, I mean, if she could knock out Xiaonan, that would be insane, because I think she has the power advantage, right? She throws those big overhands. She has the grappling upside where she can mix in the takedowns, land the big shots, and then Gomes could win the fight. But I'm going to side with Xiaonan. I think she's the more technical fighter. I think that, yes, we've seen her have some issues on the ground. We've seen that in, like, the Carla Esparza fight as well. We've seen that be a hole in her game. But I need to see a little bit more from Denise Gomes against better opposition in this weight class, because going in there against Tisha Pennington, Elise Reed, and this opposition, I mean, it's not her fault. She's just fighting whoever the UFC puts in front of her. I know it was almost 3 years ago, but if Angela Hill can outwork you and outstrike you, I feel like Xiaonan can outstrike you, number one, and also possibly land a big shot that could put Denise away if she tries to spam these big winging punches to where Xiaonan can just be more technical and beat her to the punch with the sharper shots. So I think Gomes is good grappling. Is it good enough to trouble Xiaonan? Maybe. But I'm going to say Yan does enough to scramble, keep this fight on the feet, utilize good footwork. I know she's been off for some time now, over a year. Not the best look when you're getting a little bit older per se. Sometimes it's good. You need to hit the little bit of a reset button. So I don't know. She's going to be a little bit taller. The reach matches here. I think it's a competitive fight, but I'm going to side with who I think the more technical fighter is, and I think that's Xiaonan, and she's been in there with some of the best fighters in this division. And from what I've seen from Gomes, I think she's fun, she's dangerous, but I need to see a little bit more from her, and this is the fight to where she could show me that and show us that in this matchup. So I'm going to say Xiaonan gets this one done with footwork, movement, fighting behind the jab, a laser beam right hand down the middle, good clinch work, reversing some positions against Denise, and having an answer for the grappling and not getting clipped by too many big shots, because if she does, she'll lose. But I think Xiaonan will be a little bit too slick and too sharp in there, and I think she gets this one done on the cards. Main event. If you guys are enjoying this video, do me a favor, please give it a like. If you're new, subscribe to the channel, and hey, man, if you don't mind spending some of those hype points to help your boy out, I would greatly appreciate it. And also leave a comment and let me know what you guys think. For the main event, I feel like it's pretty straightforward. I did make a video saying that my spidey senses are tingling a little bit. We've seen a lot of weird things happen in MMA in 2026, like Gaethje beating Topuria, Hamzat beating Strickland. I mean, we've seen so many upsets, right? And in hindsight, like stylistically, we're realizing that, hey, man, maybe those were tough matchups for those guys, right? So it gets in your head, right? And I picked RoboCop to beat Fluffy, but RoboCop winning a 25-minute fight on the cards against Fluffy, like, no, who saw that coming? So you get my point. MMA has been crazy this year. We've seen crazy upsets, things that you just don't even think is going to happen, results that you don't even think are going to happen end up happening. It just feels like Umar Nurmagomedov should dominate this fight, which, while I think that is likely that happens, it just makes me, by what we've seen this year, it just makes me feel like, am I missing something here? Is there something crazy to where it's like, well, yeah, Umar should dominate, but somehow Song's going to end up making this a dogfight, landing some big shots. I do think that there's some things that Song can do. I like that he's been working with Rudy Hernandez on the boxing, right? Cutman in the UFC, an outstanding boxing coach, right? Training over a Team Alpha Male. We know they can wrestle very well. Song has looked good in the videos I've seen with the scrambling, and we've seen that Umar, when he goes southpaw, dips his head off the center line. We saw Bautista landing head kicks and knees there, to where maybe Song looks to implement that. I think Song is good boxing. He's got power in his hands. He's very explosive. But the reality is, when the competition gets steep, we don't really see Song knocking a ton of these guys out. I know he was able to knock out Ricky Simone late in the fight, but a lot of it is just kind of winning decisions, being competitive with some of the best guys in the weight class, which, to be fair, I mean, had some success against Petr Yan, who's the champion, some success against Sean O'Malley, who's one of the best strikers in the UFC, in my opinion. Was able to outscore Chris Gutierrez over the course of 25. The eye poke, unfortunately, against Henry Cejudo, but that was rather competitive, but one I thought Song was winning. going out there and submitting Deiveson Figueiredo is kind of crazy, right? Because it's like you'd think that Umar would be the one to submit Deiveson, and that's not what happened. It was a lackluster decision win to where Umar dominated, but it wasn't very exciting. I think Umar Nurmagomedov wins this fight. That's the reality, and I think he wins pretty convincingly, and I think he gets it done on the cards. It'd be crazy if Umar gets a finish. That'd be a statement, considering we've seen Song in there with O'Malley, Jan, some of the best guys in the world. I know Sandhagen got a stoppage over Song, but it was that cut, right? It was a good elbow from Sandhagen. So Song's shown to be very durable. He's been in the UFC for a long time. He's only 28, but been in the UFC since like 2017, I believe. So Song does have power. If he can let the kicks go, attack the base of Umar, attack the body, set up some high kicks, get into boxing range, look to land those power shots, maybe Song could damage him up, possibly clip him and get him out of there. But I just don't know if he has the footwork and the ability to be able to keep up with Umar, because not only is Umar a very high-level grappler, but he's a very high-level striker, man. His kicks are nasty. He's got great flexibility, can whip up kicks out of nowhere. His boxing is very good as well. I think he's faster. His footwork is better. I just think he has way more ways to win this fight, and his gas tank is very, very good. The only time we've seen him lose is to Merab. And I know Bekzat Al-Makan caught him with a right hand, which, again, a little bit concerning because Song does have a very good right hand. But outside of that, I think Umar can out-grapple Song. We've seen Song taken down. We've seen him controlled on the deck before. I don't know if Umar can do that for for long periods of time, but I think he could do it quite a bit. Win minutes that way, utilize the kicks, front kicks to the body, try to set up some high kicks to where maybe Umar could clip him with a high kick, counter him with some boxing. Umar's gas tank is good. He's got great fight IQ. Obviously, the Abdulmanap school, training with Team Habib. He reminds me a lot of his brother Usman with the kicking game. Their kicks are outstanding. I just think Umar Nurmagomedov striking, it's better. His grappling is better. His gas tank, I think, is better. We've seen Song kind of have these dips in energy to where he slows down, then he picks it back up, he slows it back down. And I just don't know if he has the consistent footwork to be able to cut off Umar over and over and over again, to be able to trap him and get into that boxing range, which is where Song is going to want to be. Maybe Song looks to grapple himself, but I don't think he's going to have a lot of success doing that against Umar. And if he did, that would be very impressive. So I think Umar comes in with a good game plan, mixes it up. A little bit underwhelming against Bautista. Fun scrambles on the ground. Bautista, to me, a more dangerous grappler than Song, but I think Song is more dangerous than Bautista. Dominated Figueiredo on the ground, even though it wasn't that exciting of a fight. It was still, dominant. Competitive fight with Merab, one of the best bantamweight fights of all time. Pretty much outscored Corey Sandhagen and dominated him. Wasn't able to keep him down all that much, but Sandhagen's very, very scrambly, right? Scrambly little rascal on the ground. Very, very good all-around fighter. Got it done against Al-Makan and knocked out Raoni Barcelos. How well is that win age, considering what we've seen Barcelos be able to do? So, straightforward matchup. Song wants to win. Got to get into boxing range. Let some of those kicks go. Slow down some of the movement of Umar. Look to land some of those big boxing combos to where maybe he could clip Umar, out-damage him, drop him, win rounds that way. Umar's too slick, too smart. The kicks, the boxing, the wrestling, and once he starts getting the wrestling going, I think it'll make Song a little bit more gun-shy to where he doesn't open up as much, and if he overextends on some shots, that's where Umar, could get to the single leg, take him down, and be able to put him on his back and control him and wear him down. So give me Umar Nurmagomedov to get this one done. 49-46 or 50-45. I feel like he pretty convincingly wins this fight. I'm a little nervous, man, the way that it's been going this year, where it's like it feels like everyone is like counting someone out and then they just end up doing some stuff that just impresses us, or a result that we don't think is going to happen ends up surprising us in a fight to where it's just like, well, we haven't seen this and all of a sudden we see it. So just throwing that out there. Some habits that Umar has, I feel like Song will come in, look to exploit some of those, right? It's going to be in Shanghai. Big moment for Song, coming off a big win over Deiveson, but I get it. MMA math, he finished Figgy, and Umar didn't, but Umar's the elite of the elite, man. One of the most well-rounded fighters in the game. He's going to have a little reach advantage. I think the kicks are the difference. His boxing, I think, is actually more active than Song, even though Song maybe has more one-shot power. That fight with Merab, bouncing back, getting a couple wins here. I think Umar, he's only getting better, man. And I think he goes out here and beats Song at UFC Fight Night Shanghai.